There is a new battleground brewing in the aviation world, and this route on this airline is smack in the center of it. Hi there, my name is Kevin. This channel came from a love of traveling, a love of the full process and the journey itself. I feature airline trip reports and high-end hotel reviews from all over the world. My reviews aren't sponsored by airlines or hotels, so you can be sure to get my unbiased opinion. Am I an expert? You can decide. Am I fair? Yeah, I am. Let's get into it. Welcome to Delhi. I just arrived from Paris, and after a very strange transit experience, I ended up here in the middle of the check-in hall where I am now. If you'd like to know the exact fare that I paid, or my next 5 videos in queue, please check out that description below. After clearing immigration on the lower level, I got in line for domestic transfers. Someone, at this point I had no idea who they were, caught a glance at my boarding pass and saw that I was flying business. He took my check-in bag out of my hand and waved me to follow him as he walked straight past the ID checkpoint, which was staffed by military. There were around 8 check-in desks for rechecking baggage, each with its own line. He insisted that I cut the line, took someone else's bag off of the check-in belt, put mine there, and handed my onward boarding pass to the check-in agent, who in a matter of 10 seconds scanned my boarding pass and put a new baggage tag on my bag, and away it went. I was then rushed into an elevator which brought me to the check-in area where the video started. In the elevator, I asked the guy, "Who are you? Who do you work for?" And he had an Air India handling ID. We got off the elevator and he started speed walking again towards the security, at which point I just stopped him and insisted that I could get through the checkpoints on my own. Separate business class lines are great, but I have no interest in cutting more queues with Mr. Speedy Gonzalez. Anyway, now I'm heading to the Air India Business Class Lounge, which was... well, I was there for around 4 minutes. The route map turned out to be my favorite feature of the space. It was populated with a collection of chairs, which were not the cleanest, and a limited and messy selection of food. I took a few shots and then headed to the AMEX Centurion Lounge, which was also pretty strange. The AMEX Lounge had a total of, not exaggerating, 18 seats, with around 25 staff in the same small space. The lounge was built to have a small buffet area, but we were given a tablet with a surprisingly decent a la carte menu. The food turned out to be good, the service was good, but we were all just kinda sat on top of each other. I didn't have that long of a layover, so it was soon time to head to the gate. Allow me to pick up where I left off in my last video. As I mentioned, it's been announced that Air India Express and Air Asia India will be merged by the end of this year, and Vistara and Air India will be merged by mid-2024. The driving force behind this, of course, is the recent acquisition of 3 airlines by Tata Group, who already own Vistara alongside Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airlines will own 25% of the new merged carrier, and both Tata and Singapore Airlines seem to understand the uphill battle that they have ahead of them. Tata's chairman said of the merger, quote, "We are transforming Air India with the aim of providing great customer experiences every time for every customer. As part of that transformation, Air India is focusing on growing both its network and fleet, revamping its customer proposition, enhancing safety, reliability, and on-time performance." With Singapore's CEO adding, "We will work together to support Air India's transformation program, unlock its significant potential, and restore it to its position as a leading airline on the global stage." I'll admit that all of that sounds like lofty corporate talk, until you realize that this is exactly what Tata and SQ have already done, making Vistara the clear and only premium airline in the country. Tata and SQ are literally positioned to be the dream team that could actually turn Air India around for good, lifting their reputation out of the gutter where it's lived for far too long. Air India's current network is centered around a main hub in Delhi with smaller hubs or focus cities in Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. And then there is Air India Express, which is essentially a shuttle service between far southwest India and the Gulf region. With all of this have come some pretty major announcements. Most significant of them have been the aircraft orders that are being planned, which I'm relying on Reuters reporting for the details of. They are said to soon be ordering up to 495 aircraft. 70 of them will be wide bodies, split between A350s, 787 Dreamliners, and 777X, along with 235 A320neo family aircraft, and 190 Boeing 737 MAX family aircraft. At the time of writing this, Tata already announced that they will also maintain Vistara's current order book. If the current order books are maintained, this gives the full airline group 241 current aircraft with 550 on order. That's a lot. Everything at and around the gate area was orderly and boarding was called on time. As you likely know already, this video was not sponsored by Air India. But of course, these do need to be funded somehow, and that's where your likes, subscriptions, and comments really come into play, as they really do help the channel grow. A big thank you in advance. For today's flight stats, we ended up pushing back 20 minutes late and slowly made our way down to Mumbai in under 2 hours for an on-time arrival. While Air India has been famous in the past for their 747s, which frequently flew this route, now it's mostly just dominated by narrow-body aircraft. Today we'd be on a 5-year-old A320neo. And I gotta say, I am liking the newer white livery, since the old cream color livery just frequently made the planes look dirty. After a warm welcome on board, I was directed to my seat for today, 1 Foxtrot. While the legroom is a bit restricted in these seats, it was more than adequate for the short flight. I'm hoping that Tata will go the way of Vistara when configuring their future narrow-body fleets. Air India's newer planes have just 28 to 29 inches of pitch in economy. Vistara has a similar 29 inches of pitch, but also has a premium economy cabin on all of their aircraft. Think more about economy plus than real premium economy for the narrow-body aircraft. But at least they offer a roomy 33 inches of pitch and have elevated service in their own cabin. I'll also mention that I do have 2 Vistara business class videos coming up in a few weeks, plus 2 Vistara premium economy flights booked for later this year. Today's aircraft had 3 rows of business class with a total of 12 seats, which were themselves pretty comfortable and offered standard features that you'd find with the exception of no in-flight entertainment. But I'll trade a TV for an air vent any day of the week. No menus on today's flight, but I am happy to see that on other recent reports that I've seen on these short Air India flights, they've adopted the same small menu card that Vistara uses. For pre-departure drinks, we were offered orange juice, buttermilk, or water. Pushback came and our full business class cabin would be taken care of by 2 hospitable crew, with 1 remaining in the galley and the other serving during the flight. We were lined up for takeoff with the same Vistara aircraft that I'd leave Delhi on at the end of this trip following us. The spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. The bathrooms on board were well maintained and tidy throughout. The meal service started off with warm towels and a bit of a bizarre start to the meal. Bless her heart, the flight attendant seemed to be especially proud of the broccoli soup, which I'd bet this channel on was instant, but actually pretty tasty. There was a sad piece of garlic bread cum crouton, and then the salad. Just like my last flight, this salad seemed like a recipe that was entitled, quote, anything that you've got that's about to go off. This one was way overcooked broccoli, orange segments, and almonds. The complaining finished quickly though, because the main dish was phenomenal. I really wish the food on my flight from Paris was even close to this good. One bright spot that Air India has always had for decades has been their domestic business class catering, and this did not disappoint. There were also 4 choices. I went with the Hyderabad chicken, but there was also fish, paneer, and dal options available. In my last video, I commented about the pollution when landing in Delhi. Well, Mumbai was a whole different animal. With the air pollution mixed with the sea haze, you could barely see a thing as we began our approach. We landed and had a very long taxi to the gate, passing by a few of Air India's retired 747s, which I believe are still used for VIP transport. Along with a trove of stored Jet Airways aircraft. We pulled into what felt like Vistara land, and I made my way to the beautiful and oversized baggage hall, where we needed to wait a solid 40 minutes for our first bags to appear. So overall, it was a fairly pleasant flight experience. Tata, SQ, and Air India have quite the challenge ahead of them to shed their poor reputation, but I'm surprisingly very optimistic about what Air India may soon become. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video today. Please subscribe if you did, and then you can catch my next video coming to you from the Oberoi in Mumbai.